The Discovery. In the year 2157, the interstellar survey ship HFY Pathfinder drifted silently through the void, its crew of 50 restless after months of uneventful travel. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display of their target system, Kepler 186. "Any updates, Dr. Chen?" she asked, glancing at the ship's lead exoplanetologist. Dr. Mei Chen looked up from her console, excitement evident in her voice. "Captain, you're not going to believe this. We're picking up 2 potentially habitable planets in the system. Both appear to be in the Goldilocks zone." A murmur of excitement rippled through the bridge crew. 2 habitable planets in one system was a rarity, especially considering humanity had yet to find a single world that could sustain human life without extensive terraforming. "Show me," Reyes ordered, leaning forward as the holographic display zoomed in on the 2 planets in question. The first planet, designated Kepler 186f, appeared as a swirling orb of blues and greens, reminiscent of Earth. Clouds drifted across its surface, and vast oceans sparkled in the light of its distant sun. "Kepler 186f seems almost too good to be true," Dr. Chen explained. "Gravity is 1.1 times that of Earth. Atmosphere is nitrogen-oxygen mix, similar to home. Vast oceans, temperate climate. It's practically paradise." Captain Reyes nodded, her gaze shifting to the second planet. This one was a stark contrast, a world of reds and oranges, with angry swirls of storm systems visible even from orbit. "And the other one?" she asked, already suspecting the answer. Dr. Chen's expression grew more serious. "Kepler 186 grams is challenging. Gravity is 1.3 times Earth normal. The atmosphere is breathable, but barely. High concentrations of carbon dioxide and sulfur compounds. It's hot, dry, and geologically active. Numerous volcanoes, frequent earthquakes. It's not uninhabitable, but it would be a constant struggle to survive there." For a moment, silence reigned on the bridge as the crew contemplated the images before them. It was First Officer Jamal Mbeki who finally broke the quiet. "It's like something out of an old religious text," he mused. "Paradise and perdition, side by side." Captain Reyes allowed herself a small smile. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Jamal. We need to conduct thorough surveys before we can even think about colonization." Over the next several weeks, the crew of the Pathfinder worked tirelessly to gather data on both planets. Probes were launched, samples were taken, and endless simulations were run. With each passing day, the excitement on board grew. Kepler 186f, which the crew had taken to calling Edan, continued to exceed expectations. The planet was teeming with life, though nothing more advanced than simple plants and small, insect-like creatures. The soil was rich, the water pure, and the climate stable. It seemed almost too perfect. Kepler 186 grams, dubbed Inferno by the more dramatic members of the crew, presented a stark contrast. The planet's surface was a harsh, unforgiving landscape of jagged mountains and vast, rocky deserts. Massive sandstorms scoured the plains, while rivers of molten lava flowed from towering volcanoes. Yet even here, life had found a way. Hardy, silicon-based organisms thrived in the extreme conditions, hinting at the planet's hidden potential. As the survey neared its completion, Captain Reyes called a meeting of the senior staff. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her tone serious, "what we've discovered here is unprecedented. 2 habitable worlds in one system, each with its own unique challenges and opportunities. The question now is, what do we do with this information?" Dr. Chen was the first to speak up. "We have to report this to Earth immediately. The colonization potential alone is staggering." "Agreed," nodded Chief Engineer Yoshida. "But we need to be careful. Eden looks perfect on the surface, but that doesn't mean it's without dangers. And Inferno, well, that place could kill you in 100 different ways before breakfast." First Officer Mbeki leaned forward, his expression thoughtful. "We should recommend a two-pronged approach. A primary colony on Eden, with a smaller, specialized settlement on Inferno to exploit its mineral wealth. The geological activity that makes it so dangerous also means it's likely rich in rare earth elements and other valuable resources." Captain Rice listened to the discussion, weighing each point carefully. Finally, she held up a hand for silence. "You've all made excellent points," she said. "Here's what we're going to do. We'll compile our findings and send a detailed report back to Earth. We'll recommend colonization of both planets, but with strict protocols and safety measures in place. In the meantime, we'll establish a small base on Eden to continue our research and prepare for the arrival of the first colonists." The crew nodded in agreement, excitement building as they realized they were about to become part of history. As the meeting adjourned, Captain Rice remained behind, staring at the holographic images of Eden and Inferno. She couldn't shake the feeling that these two worlds would change the course of human history. For better or worse, humanity was about to face its greatest challenge and its greatest opportunity. Little did she know that far across the galaxy, other eyes were watching. Eyes that saw the arrival of the Pathfinder not as a moment of discovery, but as the first move in a game that had been played countless times before. A game where the stakes were nothing less than the future of entire civilizations. As the Pathfinder's powerful transmitters beamed their report back to Earth, the message raced across the cosmos, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of humanity. But it also carried something else, a beacon that would draw the attention of forces beyond human understanding. The discovery of Eden and Inferno was just the beginning. The true test of humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and determination was yet to come. The settlers. 5 years after the Pathfinder's historic discovery, the first wave of colonists arrived in the Kepler 186 system. The massive colony ship, christened New Horizon, carried 10,000 souls, each ready to forge a new life on alien soil. Dr. Amelia Novak stood at the viewport, watching as Eden grew larger in their view. As the mission's lead xenobiologist, she felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. "It's beautiful," she murmured, "but beauty can be deceiving." Beside her, Colonel Marcus Tanner nodded grimly. As head of security for the Eden colony, he was all too aware of the potential dangers that lay ahead. "That's why we're here, Doc. To make sure this paradise doesn't turn into a nightmare." The first months on Eden were a whirlwind of activity. The colonists worked tirelessly to establish their foothold, building habitats, setting up hydroponic farms, and exploring their new home. Eden seemed to welcome them with open arms, its fertile soil and abundant resources making their task easier than anyone had dared hope. But not everyone had chosen the path of least resistance. A smaller group of colonists, led by the brilliant and somewhat eccentric engineer Dr. Einar Larsen, had opted for the challenge of Inferno. "Eden's too easy," Larsen had declared during the planning stages. "Humanity doesn't grow by taking the simple path. We need the forge of adversity to temper our spirits and spark true innovation." And so, while the majority of colonists settled into their new lives on Eden, Larsen and his team of 300 volunteers descended into the hellish landscape of Inferno. The contrast between the two colonies couldn't have been starker. On Eden, the settlers quickly established sprawling farms and began construction on what would become New Athens, the planet's first city. Children played in fields of alien grass, their laughter mixing with the calls of colorful bird-like creatures that soared overhead. On Inferno, Larsen's team huddled in reinforced habitats, fighting against the planet's oppressive heat and toxic atmosphere. Every venture outside required heavy protective suits, and the constant seismic activity meant that no structure could be built without extensive shock-absorbing systems. Yet, despite the hardships, or perhaps because of them, the Inferno colony thrived in its own way. Larsen's team made breakthrough after breakthrough, developing new materials that could withstand the planet's harsh conditions and pioneering mining techniques that allowed them to tap into Inferno's vast mineral wealth. Back on Eden, Dr. Novak found herself facing an unexpected challenge. The planet's indigenous life, while seemingly harmless, was proving to be more complex than initially thought. The plants here aren't just plants, she explained to a group of concerned farmers. They're forming a kind of network, communicating with each other in ways we don't fully understand yet. This discovery led to a series of setbacks for the agricultural program, as Earth crops struggled to compete with the native flora. It was Zora Okonkwo, a young agronomist fresh out of university, who proposed a solution. We shouldn't be fighting against Eden's ecosystem, she argued. We need to work with it, find ways to integrate our crops into the existing network. Zora's approach proved successful, and soon the colony was producing abundant harvests of hybrid crops that combined the best traits of Earth plants with the resilience of Eden's native species. As the years passed, both colonies continued to grow and evolve. On Eden, New Athens blossomed into a thriving metropolis, its spires reaching towards the alien sky. The colonists had learned to live in harmony with their new world, adapting their technologies and lifestyles to suit Eden's unique environment. On Inferno, Larson's vision of a forge for human ingenuity bore fruit in unexpected ways. The harsh conditions had pushed his team to develop technologies that would have taken decades to create on Earth. Their advancements in materials science, energy production, and environmental systems soon became the envy of the solar system. But as both colonies approached their 10th anniversary, tensions began to simmer. The stark differences between life on Eden and Inferno had created two distinct cultures, each viewing the other with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. On Eden, some began to view their counterparts on Inferno as reckless thrill-seekers, unnecessarily risking their lives on a hostile world. "We have paradise here," argued Counselor Helena Chung during a heated debate. "Why should we continue to pour resources into a colony that can barely sustain itself?" Meanwhile, on Inferno, Larson and his people saw the Eden colonists as soft, untested by true adversity. "They're stagnating," Larson declared to his team. "Without challenges to overcome, they'll never reach their full potential." The situation came to a head when a vital shipment of medical supplies bound for Inferno was delayed, redirected to support Eden's rapidly growing population. Larson, furious at what he saw as a betrayal, threatened to cut off the supply of rare earth elements that Eden relied on for its advanced technology. As the crisis deepened, both colonies found themselves at a crossroads. The dream of a united human presence in the Kepler 186 system seemed to be slipping away, replaced by the all-too-familiar specter of conflict and division. It was then that fate intervened in the most unexpected way. On a routine survey mission to Eden's northern continent, Dr. Novak and her team stumbled upon something that would change everything. Evidence of an ancient, long-vanished civilization. Hidden beneath the roots of a massive tree-like structure, they found the remnants of an alien outpost. Strange symbols covered the walls, and dormant machines of unimaginable complexity filled the chambers. As news of the discovery spread, it sent shockwaves through both colonies. Suddenly, the petty squabbles between Eden and Inferno seemed insignificant in the face of this cosmic mystery. "Don't you see?" Dr. Novak addressed the gathered leaders of both worlds via holographic link. "This changes everything. We're not alone in the universe, and we're certainly not the first to walk these worlds. We need to work together if we're going to unravel this mystery and prepare for whatever it might mean for our future." Her words struck a chord. In the face of this new discovery, the colonists of Eden and Inferno found a common purpose. Teams were quickly assembled, combining Eden's biological expertise with Inferno's advanced technology. As they delved deeper into the secrets of the alien ruins, neither group could have imagined the chain of events they were about to set in motion. For the ancient outpost was more than just a relic of a long-dead race. It was a beacon, and its activation would soon draw the attention of forces beyond their wildest imaginations. The era of isolation was coming to an end. Humanity's true test was about to begin. The visitors. 15 years had passed since the first human settlers arrived in the Kepler 186 system. The colonies on Eden and Inferno had grown and flourished, their initial conflicts giving way to a spirit of cooperation in the face of the ancient alien ruins discovered on Eden. Dr. Amelia Novak stood in the newly constructed Xenorchaeology Center in New Athens, surrounded by holographic projections of the alien artifacts. Despite years of study, the true purpose of the outpost remained a mystery. "It's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing," she muttered, frustration evident in her voice. "Perhaps we're looking at it from the wrong angle," suggested Dr. Enar Larson, who had temporarily relocated from Inferno to assist with the research. His experience with advanced technology had proved invaluable in deciphering some of the alien machines. As they debated their next steps, an alarm blared through the facility. Colonel Marcus Tanner's voice crackled over the comm system, tension evident in his usually calm demeanor. "Dr. Novak, Dr. Larson, report to the command center immediately. We have a situation." Upon arriving, they found the command center in a state of controlled chaos. On the main view screen, a massive object was decelerating as it approached the Kepler-186 system. "It appeared out of nowhere," Tanner explained, his face grim. "One moment our long-range scanners showed nothing. The next, this." The object was clearly artificial, a massive structure of interlocking geometric shapes, easily dwarfing the largest ships humanity had ever constructed. "It's them," Novak whispered, a mix of awe and fear in her voice. "The builders of the outpost. They've come back." For days, the colonies watched and waited as the alien vessel took up orbit around Eden. Attempts at communication went unanswered, leaving the human settlers in a state of anxious anticipation. Finally, after a week of silence, a message was received. The aliens, calling themselves the Arquin, requested a meeting with the leaders of both colonies. The meeting took place in a hastily constructed neutral zone outside New Athens. As the human delegation waited nervously, a shimmering portal appeared, and 3 beings stepped through. The Arquin were unlike anything humanity had imagined. Tall, ethereal creatures of swirling energy, contained within crystalline exoskeletons, they seemed to exist halfway between matter and pure light. "Greetings, children of Earth," the lead Arquin spoke, its voice resonating directly in the minds of the assembled humans. "We have watched your progress with great interest." What followed was a revelation that shook the foundations of human understanding. The Arquin explained that they were part of an ancient coalition of spacefaring races dedicated to shepherding young civilizations towards a greater cosmic community. "Your discovery and activation of our outpost signaled that you were ready for the next step," the Arquin leader explained. "But you must understand, this is not a gift. It is a test." The Arquin offered humanity a choice. They could accept guidance and eventually join the galactic community, or they could choose to remain isolated, forfeiting any claim to the stars beyond their current system. The catch: if humanity chose to accept the Arquin's offer, they would have to prove their worth by solving a series of challenges designed to test their technological prowess, ethical development, and ability to work as a unified species. As the human leaders debated this monumental decision, tensions once again flared between the Eden and Inferno colonies. Many on Eden saw this as an unprecedented opportunity for advancement, while some on Inferno viewed it as a potential threat to their hard-won independence. Dr. Larson, surprisingly, became a voice of caution. "We've worked too hard to build our own path," he argued. "How can we trust these beings? What if this is just another form of colonization?" Dr. Novak, however, saw things differently. "This is why we came to the stars," she countered. "To learn, to grow, to become more than we were. We can't turn our backs on this opportunity." As the debate raged, an unexpected voice rose to prominence. Zara Okonkwo, now the lead botanist of Eden, proposed a compromise. "We accept the challenge," she suggested, "but on our terms. We'll face their tests, but we do it our way, combining the strengths of both our colonies." Her proposal struck a chord. The human delegation returned to the Arquin with their decision. They would accept the challenge, but they would face it as a united human front, not as separate colonies. The Arquins seemed pleased by this response. "Very well," they announced. "Your trials begin now." With those words, the Arquin disappeared, leaving behind a series of cryptic messages and artifacts, the first of many challenges humanity would face. As the initial shock wore off, a new sense of purpose swept through both colonies. The petty disagreements of the past were set aside as humanity faced its greatest test. Teams were quickly assembled, combining the ecological expertise of Edan with the technological innovations of Inferno. Dr. Novak and Dr. Larson found themselves working side by side, their former rivalry transformed into a powerful partnership. The first challenge arrived in the form of a seemingly inert alien device. The Arquin's message was clear: activate the device without destroying it or themselves. It was a test of both technological understanding and restraint. For weeks, the best minds of both colonies worked tirelessly. They made progress, but also suffered setbacks. More than once, they nearly triggered catastrophic reactions that could have leveled New Athens. It was Zora Okonkwo who finally made the breakthrough. Drawing on her understanding of Edan's interconnected ecosystem, she realized the device wasn't meant to be activated by brute force or clever engineering. Instead, it required a delicate balance of energy inputs, mimicking the flow of resources in a natural system. With this insight, the team managed to activate the device. As it hummed to life, it projected a vast star map, revealing the location of other young civilizations facing similar trials. The Arquin reappeared, congratulating humanity on passing the first test. "You have shown creativity and restraint," they said. "But this is only the beginning. The path ahead will challenge you in ways you cannot imagine." As the Arquin departed once more, leaving humanity to prepare for their next trial, a new sense of unity had formed between the colonies. The divisions of the past seemed trivial in the face of this cosmic challenge. Yet, even as they celebrated their first victory, troubling questions lingered. What were the true motives of the Arquin? What would happen to those civilizations that failed their tests? And perhaps most pressingly, how would Earth react when they learned that humanity's future now hinged on the judgment of an alien race? As the sun set on Edan, casting long shadows across the alien landscape, Dr. Novak stood at the window of the Xenorchaeology Center. She watched as teams of scientists and engineers from both colonies worked together, preparing for the challenges ahead. "We've come so far," she mused, "but our greatest journey is just beginning." Little did she know how prophetic those words would prove to be. For the trials set by the Arquin were about to push humanity to its very limits, forcing them to confront not just external challenges, but the very nature of what it meant to be human. The stage was set for a cosmic drama that would determine the fate not just of the Edan and Inferno colonies, but of humanity as a whole. The crisis. As months turned into years, humanity faced a series of increasingly complex challenges set by the Arquin. Each test pushed the limits of human ingenuity, forcing the colonists of Edan and Inferno to work together in ways they never imagined. Dr. Amelia Novak and Dr. Einar Larson had become the unofficial leaders of the human response team, their complementary skills proving invaluable in deciphering the Arquin's enigmatic trials. Yet, as they solved puzzle after puzzle, a growing sense of unease began to permeate both colonies. "Something's not right," Larson muttered one day as they pored over the results of their latest success. "These challenges, they're not just tests of our abilities. It's like they're pushing us towards something." Novak nodded, her brow furrowed. "I've had the same feeling. But towards what?" Their concerns were pushed aside as news arrived of the next, and potentially most dangerous, trial yet. The Arquin had seeded a rapidly evolving artificial ecosystem in the vast deserts of Inferno. The challenge: stabilize the system before it overtook the planet, without destroying the alien life forms. As teams mobilized to face this new threat, disaster struck. A massive solar flare, far beyond anything the system's star had produced before, erupted without warning. Eden's magnetic field barely protected the planet, but Inferno, with its already tenuous environment, was hit hard. Colonel Tanner's voice crackled over the emergency channel. Inferno's orbital shields are failing. They can't withstand another hit like that, and our long-range sensors show more flares building. The situation quickly spiraled into a full-blown crisis. Inferno's colony, already struggling to contain the Arquan's artificial ecosystem, now faced complete environmental collapse. Evacuation seemed the only option, but Eden lacked the resources to suddenly accommodate thousands of refugees. As tensions mounted and panic began to spread, an even more chilling realization dawned. Dr. Zara Okonkwo, analyzing data from both planets, made a startling discovery. The solar flares, the artificial ecosystem, they're connected, she explained to a stunned emergency council. The Arquan aren't just testing us. They've engineered this entire crisis. The revelation sent shockwaves through both colonies. Had everything. Their discovery of the system, the challenges, even the growing cooperation between Eden and Inferno, been orchestrated by the Arquan. As debate raged over how to respond to this apparent betrayal, the crisis on Inferno worsened. The artificial ecosystem, thriving in the increased solar radiation, began to overrun the colony's defenses. Reports of strange, aggressive life forms attacking the outer settlements added to the growing panic. Dr. Larson, coordinating the defense from Inferno's central hub, fought to maintain order. "We need more time," he pleaded during an emergency transmission to Eden. "If we can adapt some of our shielding technology, we might be able to weather this storm." But time was a luxury they didn't have. Another solar flare was building, one that threatened to destroy Inferno's remaining defenses and irradiate half of Eden. The colonies faced an impossible choice: abandon Inferno and consolidate their resources on Eden, or risk everything in an attempt to save both worlds. It was in this darkest hour that humanity's true strength emerged. As colonial leaders argued, ordinary citizens on both planets began to take matters into their own hands. On Eden, people volunteered en masse to convert public spaces into refugee centers. Engineers worked around the clock to boost the planet's defenses, knowing they were the last line of protection for both colonies. On Inferno, despite the deteriorating conditions, teams of scientists and volunteers pushed into the spreading artificial ecosystem, determined to understand and neutralize the threat. Their bravery came at a cost, with many exposed to dangerous levels of radiation or injured by the increasingly hostile alien life forms. Dr. Novak, watching the situation unfold from Eden's command center, felt a mix of despair and pride. This is it, she realized. This is the real test, not our technology or our knowledge, but our humanity. With time running out, a daring plan was formed. Using technology reverse-engineered from the Arquan artifacts, a joint team from both colonies proposed to create a massive energy web between Eden and Inferno. The web would serve two purposes: strengthen both planets' defenses against the solar flares and create a bridge to safely evacuate Inferno if needed. The plan was risky, requiring precise coordination between teams on both planets and in space. Any mistake could tear apart the delicate web, potentially dooming both colonies. As preparations for this last-ditch effort began, Dr. Larson made a fateful decision. "I'm staying on Inferno," he announced. "Someone needs to coordinate from here, and I won't ask anyone to take that risk in my place." His words galvanized the colonists. Across both worlds, people set aside their fears and differences, working with a single-minded purpose that transcended individual survival. As the next solar flare built to its crescendo, the energy web sputtered to life. Arcs of controlled plasma connected Eden and Inferno, creating a shimmering bridge between the worlds. The sight was awe-inspiring, a testament to what humanity could achieve when united. But would it be enough? As radiation levels spiked and Inferno's artificial ecosystem reached a critical point, the fate of both colonies hung in the balance. The true test of humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and compassion had begun. In the command centers of both worlds, colonists watched with bated breath as their instruments registered the approaching flare. Everything they had worked for, everything they had become, would be decided in the next few moments. As alarms blared and the sky itself seemed to catch fire, Dr. Novak closed her eyes, whispering a quiet hope for the future. Whatever happens, she thought, we faced this together, as one humanity. The flare struck, and for a moment, it seemed as if the entire Kepler 186 system held its breath. The triumph. The solar flare struck with unimaginable force, bathing both Eden and Inferno in a torrent of radiation and plasma. For several heart-stopping moments, it seemed as if all their efforts had been in vain. But as the initial shock passed, a collective gasp of relief echoed through both colonies. The energy web had held, its shimmering barrier deflecting the worst of the flare's fury. On Inferno, Dr. Larson and his team watched in awe as the web redirected excess energy into the planet's core, stabilizing the runaway artificial ecosystem. It's working. Larson's jubilant voice crackled over the comm system. The radiation levels are dropping, and the alien life forms are retreating. On Eden, Dr. Novak and Colonel Tanner shared a moment of stunned silence before the command center erupted in cheers. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. But their triumph was short-lived. As the dust settled and damage reports began to flow in, a new realization dawned. The energy web, while saving both colonies, had fundamentally altered the planet's environments. Eden's once pristine ecosystems were now infused with traces of Inferno's harsh elements, while Inferno showed signs of rapid terraforming, its atmosphere already becoming more Earth-like. As scientists scrambled to understand these changes, a familiar shimmer appeared in the skies of both worlds. The Arquin had returned. This time, however, the aliens didn't maintain their aloof demeanor. Their crystalline forms seemed to pulse with an almost emotional energy as they addressed the assembled colonial leaders. "You have exceeded all expectations," the lead Arquin announced, its mental voice tinged with what could only be described as awe. "Never in our long history of guiding young species have we witnessed such adaptability, such unity in the face of adversity." Dr. Novak stepped forward, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "You engineered this entire crisis. Why? What gave you the right to put our lives at risk?" The Arquin's response was both surprising and humbling. "We did not engineer the crisis," they explained. "We merely unveiled the true nature of your new home. The Kepler 186 system has always been unstable, its star prone to violent flares. We sought to prepare you for this reality, to see if you could adapt and thrive in the face of constant change." Dr. Larson, joining the conversation via hologram from Inferno, couldn't hide his frustration. "You could have just told us. We nearly lost everything." "Would you have believed us?" the Arquin countered. "More importantly, would you have discovered your true strength? In facing this crisis, you have not only survived but transformed your worlds and yourselves. You have proven that humanity is ready for the next step." With those words, the Arquin revealed the true purpose of their tests. The challenges weren't merely about technological prowess or ethical development. They were about preparing humanity for life in a universe far more chaotic and interconnected than they had ever imagined. The energy web that saved the colonies was more than just a defensive measure. It was the key to a new form of interplanetary terraforming, one that could make even the most inhospitable worlds livable. The Arquin had guided humanity to this discovery, knowing it would be crucial for their future expansion among the stars. As the implications of this revelation sank in, a new sense of purpose swept through the colonies. The boundaries between Eden and Inferno, once so stark, had quite literally begun to blur. The crisis had forged a new, unified human society, one uniquely adapted to life on the frontier of space. In the years that followed, humanity's presence in the Kepler 186 system flourished. The once harsh Inferno became a thriving world, its surface dotted with gleaming cities and vast, engineered ecosystems. Eden, while change, remained a beacon of natural beauty, its new hybrid environment, a testament to life's adaptability. More importantly, the lessons learned from the crisis propelled humanity to new heights. Armed with the energy web technology and a newfound sense of unity, human explorers ventured out to other star systems, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might present. Dr. Novak, now serving as the system's senior xenodiplomat, often reflected on their journey. "We came to these worlds looking for a new home," she would say, "but we found something far greater. We found our future." Dr. Larson, for his part, continued to push the boundaries of what was possible. His teams on Inferno became the galaxy's foremost experts in extreme environment adaptation, their innovations saving countless lives on worlds once thought uninhabitable. As for the Arquan, they kept their promise to welcome humanity into the greater galactic community. But the relationship had changed. Humanity was no longer seen as a young species in need of guidance, but as equals, bringing their unique perspective and indomitable spirit to cosmic affairs. Zara Okonkwo, whose insights had been crucial throughout their trials, perhaps summed it up best. Standing on a viewpoint overlooking the transformed landscape of Eden, new hybrid life forms, thriving where Earth plants once struggled, she smiled. "We didn't just adapt to these worlds," she mused. "We learned to dance with them, to embrace change as an opportunity rather than a threat. And in doing so, we've become something more than we were. Not just colonists, not just survivors, but true children of the cosmos." As the twin suns of Kepler 186 set on another day, casting the alien landscape in a warm, ethereal glow, humanity stood ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in purpose, boundless in spirit, and armed with the knowledge that their greatest strength lay not in technology or physical might, but in their capacity to come together, to adapt, and to transform both their worlds and themselves. The story of Eden and Inferno was just the beginning. Humanity's grand adventure among the stars had only just begun.